Well, the A's lost again on Monday night, and so today we're going to try and feel a little bit better. We're going to try and look for those silver linings to start the season. The A's are 2-8. It's not looking good, but maybe we can still be excited about some things. So that's what we're going to talk about today on Locked On A's. How's it going, A's fans, and welcome to episode 554 of the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, noted baseball fan Jason Burke, and on today's show, the A's have lost 5 in a row. They are 2-8 on the season. We're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna hopefully make you feel slightly better here in the first segment. In the second segment, we're gonna take a look at Kevin Smith making his big league re-debut, his A's debut, I guess, in 2023 after being called up. And I got his pitch charts from last night's game. They were not encouraging, so we're going to talk about that. And then in the final segment, we're going to talk about the Capel and Rooker connection. They'll probably be splitting time over in left field, and we're going to try and get excited about that. So that's what we got coming up for you guys today. But before we get into anything, today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/MLB60 and use code MLB60 for 60% off plus free shipping. Also, make sure to follow the podcast wherever you like to hear podcasts. We're free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. We're almost at 1,100 subscribers now. That's amazing because we were not close to 1,000. We were sort of close to 1,000 right before opening day, and now we're just smashing boundaries. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed. If you subscribe, just do it. Why not? Also, make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at @JasonB on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way. Whatever A's news happens, it's at Inside the A's. I wrote the Adam Oller piece last night. I need my editor to look at it and make sure that it's good to go. See if I need to add anything. See if there's more details that I need. But I'm very intrigued, or I like what I wrote. So we'll see. It should be up probably Wednesday morning at the very latest. And I just talked to him about pitching and whatnot, and it was a lot of fun. And just the turning point for him when that came, because he looked like a different pitcher in the second half of last year. And so we just talked about some of the adjustments that he made. So that'll be coming up for you guys before too long. Depending on when you're listening to this, it's up. Go to si.com/MLB/athletics and go read about Adam Oller being a better pitcher in the second half. But let's start with the A's not being a good team in the first half of 2023. They are 2-8. That is a 200 winning percentage. They have lost 5 straight games, and the weekend was not fun. Well, I didn't do a Monday episode. Things got away from me. The kiddo is teething and is a full menace right now. So it's been a lot of fun. But the Rays series was not fun. The A's were outscored by the Rays 31-5 and were shut out on Saturday and Sunday. Saturdays and Sundays so far not good days on the A's schedule. That's been 4 blowouts on those 2 Saturdays and Sundays. It's been awful. So Saturday and Sundays, not looking forward to those anymore. Then we got the Mets coming to town next weekend, and obviously you got Fuji starting on Saturday, and then I believe Max Scherzer starting on Sunday. So things are looking up. Yay! It was not a fun weekend. Yesterday's game was a little bit more fun. Maybe the A's are like a middle of the week team. Because they played Cleveland well. They played Baltimore fairly well. And I'm intrigued to see what happens with the rest of this Baltimore series. I know they got Grayson Rodriguez, their top pitching prospect, going in one of these games. But other than that one, hey, we'll see, I guess. They got some major league average guys, essentially. And let's see if the A's can put together a couple of hits and maybe scratch out a W. That would be nice. Last night in Baltimore, JP Sears went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 3 earned runs, walked 1, struck out 4, and that was the first time that an A's starter had gone 5 innings, just 5 innings, since last Wednesday. It had been 5 days. One of those was an off day, sure. But it had been almost a full turn through the rotation since somebody went 5 innings. So that's where the A's are right now. That is not great. I do want to give the one caveat though. After Ken Waldichuk went 3 innings on Friday, he gave way to Adam Oller, and Adam Oller pitched 5. So the A's have had a pitcher go 5 innings. It was just in relief of the starting pitcher. So good times. Just great job all around, everybody. Adam Oller also went 5 innings in relief, gave up 2 hits, and just gave up a solo home run to Wander Franco. And that's it. That was his line, basically. He walked a couple of guys and struck out some guys too. But 5 innings, 1 run against the highest scoring team in baseball, the now 10-0 Tampa Bay Rays. Sure. Also, egg on my face, I guess, for talking about the Rays going into last weekend. I was like, I think the A's could win 1, maybe even 2 games this series. Look at the competition they faced. Apparently, the A's are a really bad team too. So that's we're getting our eyes open a little bit over here. It's been a ride, but I also want to say that it's still very early, and I'm not saying that the A's are going to make the playoffs. No. But they could still be an okay team, which is kind of what we thought the whole time. It's also been a very small sample size, and it's when you see like, oh, this guy's hitting this, you're like, oh, he's going to hit that the whole season. There's going to be improvements along the way here. Jace Peterson upped his average by like 50 points last night by going 2 for 4 or whatever. That's early season baseball for you. He went from hitting like 130 to like 180 in a day. That doesn't happen later on in the season. So that it's still very early, and I don't want to get too overreactionary. And I think that the best way for me to illustrate that point is, as of right now, the A's, I believe they have a negative 49 run differential, which is just not great. They have 2 wins, and those were both 1-run wins. So even when they're winning games, they're not blowing people out. Meanwhile, they lost 2 straight 11-0 games over the weekend, and then they've also had a couple of other blowout losses. So that they accumulate fast when you're losing a lot of games and by a lot of runs. But they are on pace for a negative 794 run differential, which would be the worst in baseball history, because the record currently is held by the Cleveland Spiders of 1899. And they had a negative 723 run differential. The A's are on pace for 71 runs worse than that. So, do you think that they're the worst team ever assembled? I don't. I don't think that they're the worst team in baseball now. Sure, they're not playing great, but they also have company right now. The Tigers and the Royals are also not playing well. Obviously, they have better run differentials, but still. Here's my big sticking point, I think. For the A's aren't this bad, and so maybe that'll give some people some solace here. Last year, the A's had a negative 202 run differential. 202. So, as of right now, they're like a quarter of the way there. For the pace that they are on currently, the A's would be 4 times worse than last season. And I don't think that that's the case. So small sample sizes give us, they shape our views of things, because that's all we have to really work on right now. And I don't think that the A's are 4 times worse than last year's 60-102 team. Because if they were, then they'd be literally a 15-win team in the year 2023. And I feel like I'm going to go out on a ledge here. On a limb, not a ledge, on a limb. I feel like the A's can win 13 more games this season, maybe even 14, and then they're not going to be 4 times as bad as they were last year. I think they're actually better than last year. We're just not seeing it yet. Guys are starting off slow, obviously. Defense hasn't been great, and I think that the A's tried to address that a little bit with the call-up of Kevin Smith. And so, hey, let's talk about Kevin Smith and how he looked last night. I've got some pictures, and it's going to be fun. So, let's talk about Kevin Smith and whether or not he's going to give the A's a jolt of offense or defense, some sort of a jolt. Can Kevin Smith do it? Let's talk about it coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, So Rare. It is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from all across 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there is no cost to play. Plus, the more that you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. These guys are working with Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez, two of the most exciting players in baseball. So if they think it's cool, I think it's cool. So there's that. Also, you draft your players. It's kind of like playing daily fantasy to a degree, but you get your players for an entire series. And so it's like, hey, who's going to have a good series here? And I think that is an interesting wrinkle that So Rare is doing. And so if you think that is fun and you want to give it a shot, go to sorare.com/lockedon. That is SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way. Whenever A's news happens, it's at Inside the A's, literally at Inside the A's on Twitter, or if you want to just type in the URL, si.com/MLB/athletics. So there's all that. Let's talk about Kevin Smith. He didn't look great last night at the plate. Did not look great. So why is he here? Let's start with that. Seth Brown, he's on the IL with an oblique strain. That could be a couple of weeks, could be a couple of months. Obliques are weird. And it feels like I remember growing up and somebody had an oblique strain and they were out forever. And then they would come back and then they'd be out with the oblique strain. So I always just assumed that they're going to be gone for a while because you don't want to bring them back too early. That's also what they said on the broadcast. Maybe it was a teammate of Dallas Braden that I saw have an oblique strain, and that's why I think that. But so he's out for a while, probably. We don't know yet. We don't know the severity of the oblique strain. We just know that he's got one. And so to replace him, they brought up Kevin Smith, who had been doing really well in AAA. Let's talk about how good Kevin Smith has been. And I've talked about him a little bit, especially during spring training and whatnot. But last September, here's his stat line. For a whole month of September in AAA, 365 batting average, 405 on base, 11 home runs, 19 runs batted in, 6 doubles, 2 triples. Just fantastic work out of Kevin Smith. In the spring, he hit 395 with a 469 on base, 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in, 3 doubles, stolen base. And then in 7 games in AAA this season, only 7 games, that he was so hot, the A's were like, we can't contain him. Let's bring him up. Maybe he can spread that to the offense that we have currently constructed. And so 7 games, 2023, he has hit 300 with a 382 on base, 5 home runs in 7 games. Not bad. A double and 4 stolen bases. He's a versatile player, that Kevin Smith. Also, he'd been playing shortstop, and he played shortstop last night in Baltimore for the A's. So that was interesting, I thought. And we also saw him at shortstop against a righty. And all spring training, I was like, I have him on my team. I think that I would have him just, at the very least, he's good at defense. You have him play against lefties. That's my plan. The A's, since they brought him up, probably want to see him playing fairly consistently. And then, so he got the start against righties, or against a righty, and Kyle Gibson on Monday. And he had Jace Peterson at third. You had Aledmys Diaz at DH. That is certainly a way to do it. I think it makes sense, especially you got Tony Kemp in there against the righty, playing second base. makes sense. I'm going to be intrigued to see what happens when there is a lefty on the mound because is he going to be playing shortstop? Is he going to be playing third base? There's a couple of options there, but I think for Kevin Smith to be comfortable and keep him comfortable, you want to play him at shortstop where he's been playing and where he has had success recently, at the very least. And so you keep him at shortstop, which means against lefties, which is why Nick Allen is on the team, is to face lefties currently. You move Allen over to second base. I know that Nick Allen is a Gold Glove caliber defender at shortstop, but Kevin Smith can definitely hold his own. He's also a very good defensive player. So you're not really missing a huge amount there, and you're also getting a potential boost offensively. So put those two up the middle. I think you got a nice tandem right there. And then you have Diaz over at third base. Jace Peterson moves to the bench. And I think that would be one way to put it together is those three guys in the lineup. And I think that it could be a solid trio, offensively there as well. Obviously, Jace Peterson and Aledmys Diaz haven't really hit the ground running very much. Jesus Aguilar has been okay. He's been all right. So the veterans have been fine, I guess. Kind of. It's still really early. Couple of hits here, couple of hits there. All of a sudden, everybody's hitting 400, and the A's are juggernauts again. So there's that. But let's talk a little bit about his night last night. I got some visuals here. He went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks in this game. And in his first at-bat, what have we got here? First at-bat. Oh, sorry. I need to take off my thing so you guys can see this. And I'll try to illustrate this with my words for the people that are listening as well. But first at-bat, there you go. 3 pitches. Took him 3 pitches. And that third one that you can see out there is way outside of the zone. It was a big sweeper. And I think that him swinging at that pitch down 0-2 gave Kyle Gibson his game plan for the rest of the game. And that is throw him sweepers out of the zone. And it worked. It worked very well for Kyle Gibson the rest of the night. At bat number 2, he threw him a sinker basically down the middle, and Kyle Smith, who's Kyle Smith? Kevin Smith drove that one to the opposite field, drove it to right field. It was on the warning track, I believe. Might not have quite made it to the warning track, but it was a deep fly ball to right field. He jumped on the first pitch. He got his pitch. He didn't hit a home run, didn't get a hit with it, but he drove it far, so that's something nice. Third at bat, you see the game plan really coming into effect here. I believe this is the last pitcher that Gibson faced, and it was Kevin Smith, because Kevin Smith, he knew what to do. He just threw him 5 consecutive sweepers, 3 of those very outside of the zone, and he swung at 2 of them. So the first pitch was down and in, not too bad, in the strike zone. And then 4 balls outside of the zone. 2 of them were called balls. 2 of them were swung on and missed. So that was not showing a lot of patience, not showing a good at-bat. And so then fourth at-bat, new pitcher, Felix Bautista. He was working up and down a little bit more on this one. He went 3 fastballs and a splitter. The splitter is the number 4 down there that is below the zone. Swung at and missed that one. And so not a great showing. Let's say that. Not a great showing in his first game with the A's. So that stinks. But I'm not worried about the 3 strikeouts and the 0 for 4 in his first game. What I'm worried about is that the at-bats didn't look competitive. He didn't seem to have a game plan. And that was kind of apparent after the first at-bat, where he just swung at 3 pitches and was back in the dugout. He wasn't like going up there like, oh, I'm going to do this, or like taking a pitch, or like he was gone on 3 pitches and he was swinging outside of the zone, and that was a little bit worrisome. And I guess my main worry here is that he was up at the big league level and he struggled last year, and maybe some of that mentality is still with him, is like, oh, can I do this? Some of that, doubt is the word I'm going for. Some of that doubt is still with him. And so I think that once he gets that hit, because what did he start? 0-16, 0-17 last season? Until he gets that hit, he's still going to have that monkey on his back, I think. And he's like, oh, can I do this? And he's going to have to get a little bit of a hot streak. And then he's going to settle in. And that's, I mean, he's been hitting the crap out of the ball, both in September and in spring training and at the beginning of this season. He's been doing great. So we'll see what happens tonight. Is he going to be in the lineup? We'll see. But I don't know. Is he going to provide a spark? I don't know that I want to put that on him because that's not fair. He is a guy still trying to figure some stuff out. And I think that he has the potential to be a spark, but I don't know that I want to hoist that upon him. I think that a spark should be somebody like Ramon Laureano or Jesus Aguilar or Aledmus Diaz or Jace Peterson or, a veteran player who's actually had success in the big leagues. They just need to do it for a couple of games here to get the rest of the squad going. So I'm not putting that on Kevin Smith. I think that he can be an integral part of the A's, but I don't think that I want to make him be the spark for the team that gets them off of this 5-game losing streak. That's what I'm going for here. Am I encouraged by the results from Monday night? Not necessarily, but today's a new day. That's what Tony Kemp keeps saying after post game. You get new day tomorrow. We keep going. We stay optimistic. Do this and that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. We're also going to see what happens in left field with Seth Brown on the IL for the foreseeable future. So we're going to talk a little bit about Brent Rooker, mostly Brent Rooker, and why we might be a little bit intrigued by Brent Rooker, and then also Connor Capel because he's going to be sharing that platoon as well. So stay locked in, you guys. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back. And there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your bet doesn't win. So don't miss your chance at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Baseball ads, I love them. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I am by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way. Whenever A's news happens, it's at Inside the A's. Let's talk a little bit about Connor Capel and Brent Rooker ahead of the rest of this season, I guess. Brent Rooker, people are frustrated with him because he's 1 for 9, and I said that it was going to happen once the A's traded, or, picked him basically over Christian Pache, but I was like, they're going to focus their rage at Christian Pache not making the team at Brent Rooker, and that's not fair to him. He earned his spot on this team with a very nice spring training, and he's 1 for 9. He was like 0 for 8, let's say, at a point, and people were like, he sucks, look at him. Again, he'd played like 2 games. This happens all the time. Every beginning to a season, somebody starts 0 for a little bit. It happens to everybody. Not everybody's Aaron Judge hitting a home run on the first pitch they see of a season. Not everybody does that. Not a lot of Oakland A's do that. Just a fact. There's a lot of guys that start 0 for a lot. And that is the Oakland A's way, let's say. But Brent Rooker, he was like 0 for 7 or 8 or whatever. And then he got a hit. And people are like, hey, he sucks, whatever. Because it's the Christian Pache thing is how I read it, at least. Because Christian Pache, great defender. I thought he should have been on the team. Is he doing it with the Phillies yet? Not necessarily. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But the thing that I am excited about with Brent Rooker is that his average exit velocity is stunning right now. Absolutely stunning. You know how Matt Chapman is setting the world on fire? Yeah. Well, he is. He has Matt Chapman has an average exit velocity of 99.7, and he's doing great. He's having a heck of a breakout season. He's also going to be free agent at the end of the year. Are they correlated? Probably. But Brent Rooker, he has an average exit velocity of 99.6. Smaller sample size, I know, but 99.6. He's doing great. His expected batting average is 349 because of the contact he's been making. He's been a little bit unlucky. He's hitting 111, sure. He's only facing lefties, but expected batting average 349 because the contact he's making is ridiculous. Part of the reason he's not having the success that the expected numbers want is because he has a launch angle of 9.1 degrees. That is the lowest on the A's. You're going to get a lot of low line drives with that. You're not going to get a lot of home run swings with a 9.1 on average. He could throw in a 17 or a 21 or something like that. That'd be fine. Give me some doubles. Give him. So he's had an interesting start to the season. Is he going to continue this? We'll see. It's also been against like good pitchers too. Like the A's have faced some solid pitchers. Patrick Sandoval is the one that comes to mind. He also has the second hardest hit ball on the team this season at 110.5 off the bat. That is only behind Shea Langoliers, who had one at 111.6. So Brent Rooker crushing baseballs for the Oakland A's. They're just finding gloves and being kind of on the ground. So I think that there is room for him to improve. Just add a little bit of lift to his swing maybe, or, just find more holes, something. But his timing is there. He's doing a lot of things right. It's just the lift and the finding the holes. That's what I need to do, is find more holes. Connor Capel, who's going to be facing right-handed batters in this platoon, or right-handed pitchers. He's a left-handed batter. There you go. He is 4 for 15 this season. That's a 267 batting average with a 353 on base. And he has 2 stolen bases as well. I had no idea. I read 23B, and I didn't know what that meant. He has 2 stolen bases. So he adds a little dimension of speed to the roster as well. I like that. Not super impressive with the batted ball stuff. Not as impressive as Brent Rooker, but he gets the job done, and that is very important. He also gets on base, which is also very important. Peterson, Kemp, Diaz, and Noda are all options in left field if the A's need to use one of them. So if one of these guys just falls off a cliff and isn't doing it, the A's have 4 other guys who could also potentially play left field. So versatility is a bit of a thing with this team, and we'll see how deep it comes into play. I could see Noda being an option out there if they, specifically with Seth Brown out. If the A's want to be like, hey, let's throw him out there, and then we can have somebody else play DH, and then have Aguilar at first base. I can see that coming to fruition. We'll see what happens there. But is it obviously you want to play, you want to have Seth Brown on your team playing baseball. That would be option 1. That would be option A, plan A. Having these guys as your backups, not a terrible situation, I guess. We'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens, I guess is where I'm going to leave that, because I'm intrigued. I'm not putting too much stock into series and whatnot at any point, but I think that the Orioles are a team that are a good measuring stick for the A's, because the Orioles are on the ascent and they have a lot of good young players. The A's are not playing well, and they would like to get some wins. So let's see how that all works out, I guess. They're not like the Angels, who are a division foe and are healthy. And when the Angels are healthy, they're a good team. They're not Cleveland, who they actually played really tough. They're not the juggernaut Tampa Bay Rays, who are the best team in baseball currently. They're the best team ever. They're on pace to win 162 games, so obviously small sample sizes mean everything, right? And the A's are going to be the worst team in baseball history, so that's small sample sizes for you. That's why early season baseball hot takes are super fun. The internet is awful for early baseball season. But those are some of my takeaways. What do you guys think? Are the A's the worst team in baseball history? Can they win 14 more games and not be 4 times as bad as last season? Let's find out. Let me know some of your predictions down below. Some of your fake hot takes. Give me a fake hot take down below in the comments if you're on YouTube, because that sounds like a lot of fun for me, actually. I would love to read some fake hot takes. If they're good and there's enough of them, I'll read them on the air. So that'll be a good time. But that's all that I got for you guys today. Up and, till tomorrow, we're going to talk about, hopefully, an A's win. Again, I think it's Grayson Rodriguez today, actually. We're going to talk about the A's game, regardless, and hopefully get you guys excited about some A's baseball or something. I don't know. I have had a thought that I may share about why it might be okay that the A's are potentially really bad this year. So I'll share that thought at some point, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how today goes, and we'll plan accordingly. We also got to talk about Paul Blackburn making his rehab start with AAA Las Vegas tonight. We'll cover that on tomorrow's episode as well. But that's it for me today, you guys. So until next time, go out and celebrate good times, A's fans, and I will talk at you tomorrow.